And here's the thing. I've lived here for most of my life, and I've seen the signs for the 99-cent pancakes forever. And I always assumed, like, there has to be a catch. There has to be a catch. And just last year, I finally was like, you know what? I'm going. I'm gonna see what these 99-cent pancakes are about. And they're awesome. They're so good. And they're full-sized pancakes. The wasted years. All the wasted years. And coffee is 50 cents, and bacon is $2. That's the thick back bacon. And I'm like, the wasted years. All the wasted years.
Whoops. Well, now you know, though, and now you can tell other people to go.
Catching up on cinema audience, this is All Dogs Go to Heaven, and this is the dark side of the Bluth.
You can't keep a good dog down.
No, you can't.
No, you can't keep a good dog down.
I've been bought and sold.
He's been warm and cold.
But 10 to 1, I'll still be running rackets when I'm old.
Not in some cage in the city pound. 'Cause you can't keep a good dog. Can't keep a good. I say you can't keep a good dog down.
Yeah, you can't keep a good dog down. Yeah, we're going to be talking about All Dogs Go to Heaven today. This is, I believe, from the year 1989. And this is a funny one because this is a Don Bluth production, which is infamous in some regards, is beloved in others, and somewhere in the middle, I think, is maybe where I fall. So this is kind of an odd dog pick as far as Dark Side of the Bluth films go, because this one is somewhat critically acclaimed. I do not think it was a financial success in the theaters, although on video, I'm sure it did quite handsomely. This was a movie that was in most of my friends' homes when I was a child. I never owned it personally. It was always just on in the background whenever I went to friends' houses. But yeah, All Dogs Go to Heaven is a somewhat early Don Bluth production, post Secret of Nim, and also, I think, very notably, first production when they, like, after they moved their studio to Ireland, where they would have their studios for Ireland for quite some time.
The Emerald Isle.
Ireland, where the national anthem is "Hoi cha cha choi, hoi cha choi."
Well, not even Commissioner Garden and myself have seen them.
It's okay. My last name is Hart. I am largely Irish, so I can get away with this. I can't, but we're doing it anyway. But yeah, Don Bluth Animation pulled up stakes and moved to Ireland. I believe this was their first film after that move. And the catalyst for that had to do with bankruptcy. And I want to say that that's a very, very, very consistent thing that rears its ugly head in the history of Don Bluth's career as an animator and director. I have some thoughts about some of the text and subtext of this movie that we can get into when we get to it. But Levi, this was your first time seeing All Dogs Go to Heaven, correct?
Yes.
And what was your take on it?
I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. That's the thing. It's like, I hear the title and I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know, like, what am I expecting? It's like, I mean, truth be told, I was kind of expecting, like, a Care Bears thing. Like, I was kind of expecting, like, this little girl needs help. Who do we send her? Like, that dog has the IQ of a rabbit. Oh, but he has the heart of a child. Like I was kind of expecting this sort of idea of, like, a child is in danger and we're sending an angel dog to go help. Like, that's kind of what I was expecting. What I got was an old school Warner Brothers gangster picture with a supernatural twist. And I'm like, so what we have here is a strange combination of Charlie Chaplin's The Kid and the noir fantasy picture Angel on My Shoulder, which I was not expecting, to say the least. I really enjoyed this one. There is a reality where there is about 15 minutes hacked out of this film that it is damn good. And it is a mighty fine picture. The issue is that there are just some parts like near the end of the second act and into the third that make you go like, you're losing me. Don, come back. Don, this is the Rockadoodle dementia. Come back. Don. And it's like, but they end up sticking the landing. So it's like, I enjoyed my time with All Dogs Go to Heaven. I spent most of it smiling. I spent most of it enjoying myself.
Yeah, me too. I think I needed to be a little bit older to appreciate this one to the extent that I do now. Because I watched this last week, and it'd been decades since I actually sat down to watch it. And truth be told, I always ingested this movie like piecemeal as a kid. We never watched the whole thing. It was just on in the background when we were dicking around with our G.I. Joes or playing Weapons and Warriors or some shit. So I never really like focused on the movie. I was never fully engaged by it. And as you said, Levi, like the inspirations, like the setting of the film, the general plot line of it are like on a moral level are appropriate to any age. But like in terms of like the details, there's a little bit of complexity there that to a small child they might not understand, like, you know, the whole gambling and extortion kind of bit and stuff like that. Not to the extent that they might be required to. Like they'll understand the emotionality, of course. But all that to say, on this viewing, it landed a lot better for me than it ever did as a kid. I think it's actually a pretty solidly constructed film. I do agree with you. There are some chunks, especially as you get towards the second and third acts, where it's like, how did we get here? Wow, we are really stepping on the gas. I didn't expect the finale to creep up that quick. I kind of could have used some padding in between some of these events here. Like that seems like we arrived at some places a little too quickly. But the animation quality of this coming off of the Pebble and the Penguin really puts in perspective the deficiencies of the Pebble and the Penguin, where it's like, I gave some praise to the animation quality in that film in fits and spurts. It ain't got shit on this one. Like All Dogs Go to Heaven blows it out of the water.
I have been quietly laughing at Penguin ain't penguinin like for the last like 2 weeks. Like just that comes to mind, and I just kind of like snickered to myself.
That penguin ain't penguinin.
Every penguin is penguinin in this film.
Yeah, these dogs are dogging, and on top of that, these rats are ratting too, because there's a rat race sequence very shortly after the opening of this movie, which, by the way, begins in true 1980s fashion of just like people trying to murder some dogs, just like with rifles and machine guns.
I'm like, oh shit, we put up leg dogs by accident.
Wow, different kind of film. Very intense film, but there's a rat race sequence in this that is a real technical marvel that when it's introduced, it feels like pure whimsy. It feels like just like, oh, we're just doing a thing because it's fun. And then you look at like the technical spectacle of the animation quality of the rat race and some of the angles they use and some of the techniques they use. And it's very complex and extremely well rendered. And then as it so happens, as the movie opens up, it's like, oh, the rat race thing is actually essential to the plot. Like we were introducing a key plot point. We weren't just stroking ourselves with that sequence there. Like it actually is relevant. And the whole movie just funny enough, like for as cohesive as it is also infamous for being the home and the originator of the big-lipped alligator moment, which, folks at home, if you don't know what this is, I suppose we ought to explain it to you, because there's a chance that you don't know. Levi, do you want to take it or should I?
Okay. So here's the deal. Internet pioneer, Doug Walker. Internet personality Doug Walker had a running bit on his show, The Nostalgia Critic, where he would use a scene from the end of the second act, beginning of the third act of this movie as an example of something that comes the hell out of nowhere, hits you right between the eyes, and then just departs the film. It is typified by the character that represents this scene, which is a large, big-lipped, voodoo-looking alligator, voiced by Ken Page, who, as soon as he opened his mouth, I'm like, oh shit, Oogie Boogie is in this movie. And for years, I'm like, okay, big-lipped alligator moment, that's funny. Surely, it makes sense in context. He's exaggerating for comedic effect. He isn't. He is not. It comes into the film at such a strange angle. And as soon as it happens, it's gone. It leaves the film.
It backstrokes out of the film.
It backstrokes out of the film and says goodbye the movie. And it kind of sort of comes back as if to justify its existence. It's very strange because it feels like they're like, aha, you see, that wasn't a stupid indulgent scene where we wanted to homage Bubsy Berkeley for some reason. But it feels like a post hoc justification of why it's there. It's like Don came in. There's a wonderful story, and I love this story so much, about the Marvel method of comics. Was the artist did the entire book based on a layout that the writer did. They would give a 2-page layout. This is what happens in the story, page to page. This is the general idea. The artist would do the entire book. Yeah, right there. Yeah. The artist would do the entire book, and then they would fill in the dialogue. So this got to a point where, apocryphally, Stan Lee walks into Jack Kirby's office and says, "This month, the Fantastic Four fight God," and he drew the entire Galactus story. Again, apocrypha, but I choose that it happened this way. The story about the Silver Surfer coming into existence is Stan gets the art and is like, "Hey, Jack, could you come over here?" Jack, yeah, Stan, what do you need? So Jack, there's just a panel where you cut away from the story to space, and there's a silver guy on a surfboard. He's like, yeah. So what? He's like, "Jack, this has nothing to do with the story." And he's just like, "I don't know." And he walks out smoking his cigar. And Stan's like, "Fine." So he adds a exposition box. "Deep in the cosmos, even the Silver Surfer is mysterious something. I don't know." So the reason the Silver Surfer exists is Jack got bored and decided to doodle, and we had to post hoc explain it. I think the big-lipped alligator sequence happened this way. Don stepped out of the office, came back, this sequence was on his desk, and he's like, "Guys, what is this?" "Oh, it's the voodoo alligator." What?
It's like, well, it's New Orleans. They're voodoo and shit. Baron Samedi, the James Bond. It's like, whatever. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it all comes back to just like, I thought it was neat.
Yeah.
Jack Kirby thought the Silver Surfer was neat.
Yeah.
And he said, fuck it. I'm going to draw this man on this surfboard in this underwear. Deal with it.
I love Jack Kirby designs that are just nuts, especially when it comes to sporting equipment, because his fourth world, death is the Black Racer. So essentially, you're the Grim Reaper who takes the new gods of New Genesis and Apocalypse to the afterlife is the Black Racer, and he is a black gentleman in full knight's armor on skis.
Fuck yeah.
And he's awesome. I'm like, but yeah. So the big-lipped alligator moment enters the film and leaves the film,
and then promptly returns.
Yeah, okay. We probably should cover the plot at least a little bit.
Sure.
So, again, this is like, a Warner Brothers gangster movie plot. Okay, so imagine, hopefully viewers and listeners at home, imagine for a moment that I am not talking about animated dogs. And imagine James Cagney is your lead, and Humphrey Bogart is his business partner. Just imagine that. Imagine this is like Angels with Dirty Faces or Roaring Twenties for a second. Burt Reynolds gets out of a life sentence in prison at the Pound with his sidekick, played by Dom DeLuise.
Of course.
They then go to the Riverboat Casino in New Orleans that is being run by his former business partner. He starts making some noise. He still has 50% ownership in this whole gambling den. And so his business partner decides to bump him off. They get him drunk at a big celebration, bring him down to the pier, and run him over with the car and send him into the harbor. He then dies, fully freaking dies, goes to heaven, which he is informed like, hey dude, you're dead. But all dogs go to heaven because we have a natural selflessness and loyalty to us. We all end up here. And time, sort of like the thread of fates, this kind of Greek idea, is represented by each person as a clock. And it just so happened that Charlie's clock has stopped. It stops. You're out of time. That's just kind of how it is. So he then steals his clock, rewinds it, in an effort to go get revenge on his business partner because he's just not ready to die yet. So he goes back to Earth to get his revenge and inadvertently comes into contact with a little girl that his business partner is holding hostage. And the film becomes a combination of revenge plot, growing together, figuring out how to survive, the ticking clock of him going back to the afterlife, his business partner finding out that he's somehow not dead, and mayhem ensues.
Yes. So it's the plot of Dark Man, except instead of clocks, he I don't know, has not invulnerability, but like his nervous system's all fucked up, and he's Liam Neeson. Anyway, if you imagine this as being a live action production, it actually has legs. Like you actually could make this movie straight, like without all the more fanciful, like family friendly elements. It actually could work pretty well.
Well, and the thing is that technically speaking, we technically have this movie. There is it's a little known film, and it deserves to be known because it's a ton of fun. It's a cool freaking movie. And I only ran into it because I got a film copy of it from a friend of mine. He was my friend Jeffrey, who really kind of helped me into the hobby of film collecting, was like, yeah, dude, like, let me get you some feature prints. Let me find some stuff for you. And he's like, Angel on My Shoulder. This is a great freaking movie. You'll love this. And he hands me all 3 reels of it. And I sat down to watch it with a friend of mine. The story is a gangster in an outfit gets set up and is murdered by his partners. And he wakes up, and it's this kind of crazy freaking sequence. He wakes up and he's like, God, what happened? And he's like, geez, it's really hot down here. Like, it's really hot. Where the hell am I? And he's like, all these people are wandering around. They seem kind of miserable and kind of wrinkled. And he's like, what's that smell in the air? Is somebody making eggs? And like, a guy nearby is like, my boy, that's sulfur. You're just smelling. On Earth, that's what it smelled like in the air. That nice breakfast that greeted you each morning. But I'm afraid it's just the sulfur. And he's like, what do you mean back on Earth? And he gets called into the office of Lucifer himself. And Lucifer turns around and it's freaking Claude Rains.
Oh, shit. Very cool.
And Rains essentially says, listen, pal. You've been a wonderful asset to me. You have sent so many people my way, and you've corrupted the world around you. You've been a thorn in your side to every single thing that you come across. So tell you what, as a way to further my kingdom, I'm going to send you back up there so you can get revenge on your buddies. How does that sound? And he's like, yeah, no, that'd be great. I want to kill them all. I want to kill all of them. So he gets sent back up, but, they can't send him back in his body because, his body's dead. It's buried. So he ends up coming back in the body of a guy he remarkably resembles, who is a law-abiding, married judge. The judge takes a hit on the head, goes into a coma, and the gangster wakes up in his body. With his wife and social standing and everything else, and it's like, oh, honey, I'm so glad you're back. And he's like, looks in the mirror, and he's like, yeah, that's my face. I don't know whose life this is. So it's like sort of the story of him getting his revenge, but also slowly going straight as the good life, as the law-abiding life of this man slowly changes how he looks at things. And it's really good. And it's pretty fun. And it has those noir Warner Bros. Gangster aspects while also still having pretty solid fantasy pieces. So it's like, watching this, I was like, oh, hey, it's very much that in a strange form. And it's because of the 30s setting, and it's because the gangster imagery and all of this, it's like, it feels very robust. It also pulls no punches. Like, there's really only a few moments that feel truly kiddie, where for the most part, the movie actually feels like classic Hollywood, where it's like, yeah, guys, we're not gonna sugarcoat this, but, people aren't gonna get shot on screen. There isn't gonna be blood and violence and all this. But we're not gonna shy away from the fact that this is a very dangerous world.
Yeah, it does have very much like a old Hollywood kind of vibe to it. And it seems very intentional. Like, it two guys and a gal doing a business venture kind of thing. Like we're doing a thing. Like there's a montage towards the middle of the movie where they're exploiting the gal to rig the races essentially and earn funds so that they can start a rival business, a rival casino, to spite Carface, I think is his name.
Carface, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie's our main character. Apparently originally conceived as to be portrayed by Burt Reynolds, who can only exist in the 70s despite it being a period piece. Burt Reynolds just permanently affixed to the decade of the 70s. But yeah, a big chunk of the plot involves him just like going on this spite rampage, trying to raise funds to start his own casino, like to shit on Carface's casino that he used to have joint ownership with. So he was killed for money, over money. Which brings me to the stuff that I kind of alluded to earlier on, because I had some fun just thinking about this. Don Bluth, his production company went bankrupt numerous times, as far as I know. 2 or 3 times, as far as I know. Pulled up stakes from, I think, California, moved to Ireland, excuse me. Notably, former employee of the Disney Corporation. And if you look at his filmography, there are a lot of all artists have tendencies, and it's one of my favorite things in exploring art is like kind of like peering into the person just a little bit, just through the themes that seem to continually emerge in their work. Because I don't know what it is about the process of art, but there often is like a bit of repetition. Like it feels like it takes several drafts to like, actually it's kind of an endless process of just like endless drafts of trying to conceive the thing that you have in your head and breathe life into it. And it's like, it wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite right either. And like all of these are like amazing, like be it like films or sculptures or paintings or whatever. It's like, these are all works of art. And it's like, but the artist is like, I want to take another crack at that. And they just keep needling at it. And in Don Bluth's case, his Mormonism is definitely something that's there. I think you had mentioned that The Land Before Time is not secretly just Brigham Young. It is. Like, if you examine it even a little bit, it's like, it's there. You know, that's fine. It's a great movie, and it like the story flows pretty well. And also that ties into like mysticism and the supernatural seems to be a recurring element in his filmography. Like The Secret of Nim was my introduction to him as a creative, and the whole business with the stone that sleeps and Mrs. Brisby turning into the goddamn Dark Phoenix at the end of the movie. It's like, I don't know. Like, sure. I mean, most of the movie up to this point had to do with genetics and science and all that business. That electric bramble bush and that stone that sleeps business, I don't know. And this one, we got a timepiece. We have a clock that serves as like a totem that doubles as like his life force, because there's that whole business at the end where there's drama where like if the clock stops, Charlie's gonna end up going back to heaven and all that business, or to hell. But all that to say, as I was watching this movie in particular, it was really starting to like dawn on me that's like but I'm got him. Former employee of the Disney Corporation. A lot of his stories have to do with exploitation of talented or artistic creatives, and it made me think of another former Disney employee, Tim Burton, who when he was making good films, there was also quite a lot of that going on. Like Edward Scissorhands is the story of a misunderstood artist who gets brought into suburbia and exploited. And Batman may as well be that as well. The Penguin story in Batman Returns is very much like a gifted other comes into a community, is embraced for it for a time, and then ruthlessly and in a very ugly fashion discarded. It's a recurring thing in his filmography. And in Don Bluth's case, we have Charlie gets killed over a money dispute, a creative dispute, if you will. There's that whole bit where they're tuning the radio, which is actually a fun bit of dialogue. That's a really, like, I could see that playing in a live action film very well, where Charlie comes back, he escaped from prison, he has a joint office with Carface, and he keeps turning the radio on, and he and Carface are arguing, and Carface keeps turning the radio off, and then he just keeps turning it back on, and they just go back and forth for like several minutes. Creative and financial dispute.
And then Carface finally rips the knob off.
He just changes the rules, changes the dynamic, just flips the board on him. And that's how he wins. Like, well, you know what? It's not too far of a leap for me to just, kill you. It's just like, this is a way to win also. Like, we don't have to keep playing the same ping pong game back and forth. I can just, break the rules and win. And then even for all of its warts and all, Rockadoodle has that Elvis story that the movie doesn't entirely go to any lengths to really fixate on. But the story of Elvis and that whole business, it's an artist that's being exploited in some fashion. I don't know. I have never seen Thumbelina. I do know that she is being pushed to marry the mole. I know that's a song in that one.
Dearie, marry the mole.
I haven't seen A Troll in Central Park, but I seem to remember exploitation of some sort being a plot point in both the American Tail films. Wasn't the daughter, wasn't she being exploited as like a singer or something in the second one?
Yes.
And then in the first one, I think the cats were just like fucking over the mice left and right in that one.
I would say if you had to put it in a phrase.
Yeah.
Don Bluth's filmography is the story of the individual being subsumed by the mob. It is what we had was natural, and we have reached for something that is beyond that, and you have a majority ruling over the individual to a point that it crushes things. Because, Secret of Nim is the same way. It's like, the reason we have the Rats of Nim is because of exploitation, is because of that intrusion of the Nim Corporation onto the rats. It's changing something that's natural. I think that's a big part of it, where it's like there is individual being in the face of the mob and holding to this piece of divinity. A stone, a pebble, a timepiece, a tree star, maybe even just something from your family. It is a connection to something that is real and divine and specific and individual that the mob cannot take away. At all costs, they cannot take it away.
Yeah, I thank you for supplementing my thoughts, because I think you focused and distilled them down to the point. I just needed to get that out there, because in watching so many of his movies now back to back, it's like, yeah, there's a thing here, and it's readily apparent in this one, because this is from his earlier era where his stuff had more teeth. Like Secret of Nim is a pretty harsh film in some respects. This one is too. It has some very silly, very dumb moments, but on the whole, like Levi had said, it is essentially a gangster story with a supernatural twist. Oh yeah, and dogs in place of people. But it's also from like a grimmer, grittier era of his work where these sorts of things were, I think, confronted more explicitly. Whereas by the time you get to Pebble and the Penguin, it's like it's still there. It's definitely still there. It's just wildly unfocused and sanitized quite a lot. And time will do that. But yeah, the big clipped alligator moment. I'm sorry to bring us back to that, but the way I recall it is everything comes back to that damn alligator. The way I recall it is it was a Lindsay Ellis meme that came from her review of this film, and it really does arrive out of nowhere. And I love your theory. It's just something that the animation team just threw on Don Bluth's desk over the weekend. And he's like, well, I mean, you drew a lot on this. I guess we're doing it. Like, there's that element of it. Like, maybe the movie opens with like some grim, almost violence of some dogs being shot. And then very quickly after that, we have like the movie's like signature musical beat, the Can't Keep a Good Dog Down, which is, I like the first half of the song. Then there's the second half where they're talking racial stereotypes and stuff, and it's not that I'm offended by that, it's that the musicality of it kind of goes out the window. Like, I'm not offended by it. It's just not good.
For me, it kind of adds to the era for me.
Okay.
Because it feels like one of those. Again, this is one of the reasons why I bring up Cagney. Cagney could sing and dance as well. Like, he wasn't just a gangster actor. He was incredibly talented. And there's even some moments. This is like these weird musical beats where Burt Reynolds kind of does this. Who is not a gifted vocalist, but he's doing it. He's doing his best. On a scale of like professional vocalist to Jeff Bridges in Last Unicorn, he is like somewhere around Matthew Broderick and Lion King. He's around there, like not insufferable.
I also would have accepted Jeremy Irons in Lion King. It's like, he did half the job. He tried. Yeah.
But it's even in some of Reynolds' like verbal mannerisms. Bing Crosby was a major vocalist at the time, and sort of whenever somebody does an impression, it's bum 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 bum, like kind of this like musicality that he would do as like fillers or when he was just fiddling with the piano, and that turns up in some of Reynolds' performance where it's like, oh, so he is trying to nail sort of this era of like the Hollywood semi-comedy music and adding a little bit of that into it. This feels like a number from something like White Christmas or Holiday Inn. Like, it feels like that kind of thing to me. So the second half of being like, we're gonna just go over national and racial stereotypes, I'm like, it's the 30s in here, isn't it?
Yeah, it just might be the 30s. It's like, we did name drop Siam after all. It's like, oh,
you betcha.
It was a while ago, huh? It's like,
yeah.
But yeah, we have that, which is this bright, peppy sequence. It's one of the things that the movie's very well remembered for. Then we get to heaven, and we have some songs there that are kind of half-formed. Like the melodies are there, I guess, but the lyrics are like, I think Bert just showed up drunk and just started saying stuff. Like,
yeah.
Like the lady was in the booth with him, and he was just like, I'm just gonna mutter things while you sing beautifully.
Yeah. Bert is running out of batteries.
Pretty much. But then apparently this movie, and I have to assume this might be another one of those recurring themes in Don Bluth's filmography, this film was subject to some censorship. There were cuts made to it. And as far as I understand, almost entirely centered around the hell sequences of the movie, which there's only a couple, but can confirm some of my contemporaries were most definitely scarred by these sequences. Some of my more religious contemporaries, like actually raised Christian and stuff, like they're like, fuck, that's where I'm going if I'm bad. And yeah, can confirm, like the hell sequences in this are pretty intense. But apparently they were even longer and more intense in an earlier cut of the film, such that like they made those cuts. But there is a part of me that wants to guess that perhaps there was a push to add some more color and friendliness to the movie in the form of the big-lipped alligator or something, just to make it more palatable. Because like if you're gonna scare the ever-loving shit out of a kid, you got to give them a hug afterwards or something to bring them back. So like big-lipped alligator is like a big bombastic. It's actually a very expensive sequel. Like they
very.
It doesn't need to be in the movie other than to like serve as like a bright spot in an otherwise dark portion of the film, because that's really what it is like we're in like a dark spot of the narrative where Charlie, the gal, I can't even remember her name, apparently very tragic story with the voice actors.
Not gonna lie, they're because the young actress in this film also was the voice of Ducky in The Land Before Time, and at 7 years old was murdered by her father. And it is, I will admit, there were a few sequences in this movie with her that I was getting a little choked up. Just being like, God, like, because it's like the end of the film's dedicated to her.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's something about hearing that little voice praying that just makes me like, it really kind of hit me sideways. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, this is... Because like I'm already kind of locked into the movie. Like it really is that end of second act, beginning of third act that the movie actually starts to kind of lose its grip on me a little bit, and then it manages to come back at the end. But in that first like 2/3, I'm pretty with it. I'm feeling the emotional ups and downs of the movie. I'm like locked in because it feels like old school Hollywood. And yeah, there are some of those sequences with, again, it's that little voice. And it's just knowing that she's gone and she died so young. That made it was a little tough.
Yeah, apparently, like animation is a long process. Apparently, like you can read this in the Wikipedia for the film. Apparently, the animators struggled to complete the project in some instances because her voice recordings had been done like a year prior to completion of the film. So they're animating a ghost, and it's like, and it's a child. It's like that's heavy. Like that's really rough. And for what it's worth, she like as Ducky and as a Scowl, she's very very talented, very good performance. Yeah, that good night sequence with Charlie, both of them are excellent sequences. But yeah, the big-lipped alligator moment arrives. Hey, I mean, the big-lipped alligator moment arrives in the same context and the same emotionality as what's happening right now. That's why it's there, I think, is because it arrives in the space in the plot when Charlie and she are feuding. When she doesn't trust him, she makes it known that she's planning to just like run out on him, and he's still trying to hold on without with the flimsiest of justifications. And then the floor literally falls out underneath them, and then the big fucking alligator shows up. And it's like, it's the movie saying, it's okay, kids. You know, there's still joy in the world. There's still brightness. And also, like, it serves as the flimsiest and also kind of needless. Like, it isn't required, but it does serve as an introduction to the alligator, who serves as the Deus Ex Machina of the finale, where he saves the big-lipped alligator saves the day. And there is a shot showing that the alligator is coming. So you didn't need a whole introduction sequence. The alligator is summoned by Charlie's yowling, I guess. Like, it interprets it as singing. Let's make music together is the big musical number. Charlie's yowling, it interprets as singing, and it's like, oh, well, we could sing together, so let us sing together. Like, you could have found any other way to summon an alligator into the finale of the movie, just like loud noises. Loud noises attract the gators or something, and just some vicious alligators show up and just happen to attack the right people at the right time, and our heroes are saved or something. So it's not entirely necessary, but I am saying that the big-lipped alligator has some utility in the narrative.
It feels post hoc, man. It's like, fine. Okay, we have to bring this back in somehow.
It's like, how do we right this ship? On the subject of the ending, though, like if we're talking sad shit, man, they really do stick the landing in this one, because I don't know how many animated, like children's targeted films would actually follow through with Charlie's fate, because the movie actually does it. It's just like, yeah, bye, Charlie. Like, not every movie would do that, and you know, praise to the creators, to the creatives for following through on that, because like, if you're gonna make that promise, it's in your, like, especially to a child, like you need to be earnest, and I think they did it pretty well.
Yeah, and it's funny because like, this thought immediately came to mind. I'm like, God, I'm a dork. I'm like, because sort of, you know, there's this big sequence where Carface is trying to do Charlie in, and he's tied to this anchor, and he goes up, and the big-lipped alligator comes in and frees Charlie from his bonds, and Charlie, like, races out to go protect the girl, and manages to get her to somewhat safety, and the watch stops. And one of Carface's henchmen, Killer, actually ends up pushing the girl to the shore and to the arms of this waiting couple that came across her, and is like, oh my goodness, there's a homeless kid. Holy crap, what do we do?
Yeah.
So the day is saved, but Charlie's lost. And there is a sequence as we cut from the finale to the house, to the exterior of the house. And we see the enormous demon dog that we saw in the hell sequence rise above the house, and smoke coming, and I'm like, are we seriously doing this? And from the red smoke emerges Charlie into the kid's bedroom, looking scared and afraid. And he kind of comes up and he's just like, kid, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. And it's, Charlie, come back. And then the light comes in and comes down over the demon outside, and I'm like, it's Murnau's Faust. It's Murnau's Faust. It's F.W. Murnau, famous silent film director, had his version of Faust that opens with Mephistopheles arguing with the Archangel Michael, with essentially being like, well, yeah, I mean, I can corrupt him, and I get his soul if I do, and it's striking a wager. And in the end, after all of the wrong things he's done, Faust gives his life and dies alongside his love Gretchen. And Mephistopheles comes to collect his bargain and is like, I did it. And Michael is like, Faust gave his life for her. That's our territory. Like, you can't have grace and mercy. So Michael takes Faust and Gretchen to heaven. And that's essentially what happens here, is the devil is dispersed as the angel that met Charlie when he initially comes in and says, "You've been redeemed by your kind and selfless sacrifice." Charlie says to the girl, like, "Listen, I'm going away for a while. Look after Dom DeLuise."
Make sure he doesn't piss his pants on live television.
Please. Make sure that nobody out-pizzas the hut. And it's like, again, in that small voice, "Will I ever see you again?" And I'm like, well, and it's also being like, because Burt Reynolds passed a number of years ago. It's just like, man, all three actors in this scene are gone, and it's the little girl that went the youngest, and it's like, shit. Like it, and it's a sequence they nail, and they do it well. And he goes away and with the heavenly choir, and they manage to kick it up where he's like, "Hey, come on, I know we're all dead, but the music doesn't have to be too." And they kick into an upswing like gospel tune, and they pull it off. They stick the landing. It's like, because there's a bit in between where they're winning all these bets and stuff because the kid can speak to animals, which is weird because apparently, so dogs they can communicate with people. They cannot communicate with other forms of life. Or maybe the other forms of life just don't want to talk to them. It's like, so rats will not talk to dogs. Neither can horses. Horses won't talk to dogs. But the little girl can talk to both of them, so she's able to know who's going to win which races. So that's what allows them to get rich through this gambling scheme. And it's like, there's a bit where it's like, you said we were going to be helping people with some of this money. From that point that they arrive at a poorer house with all these kids in it, and they sing a Calypso-inspired song about sharing, to the end of the big-lipped alligator scene, which is about 15 minutes, the movie just gets really strange and kind of goes off model. Mm-hmm. And like the feeling of the period classic Hollywood film that we had that was still very age appropriate but exciting and had stakes and everything slowly starts to transmogrify into, oh yeah, it's 1989, isn't it? It's 1989 and this is a children's film that I'm watching. Yeah. Because we have these back-to-back sequences of like the Calypso song, and then Carface comes in with what they say is a Flash Gordon ray gun. Yeah. That they clearly had to change from the Tommy gun that it is. Mm-hmm. So they put like laser sound effects over it. Yeah, it's... So there's like that brief chase sequence that doesn't really work. And then that brief chase sequence leads to the argument. Then they fall through the floor, and then there's the big lipped alligator scene. So there's like a 15 minutes at the end of Act 2 into Act 3 of this, little less than an hour and a half picture that just sag and drag and simultaneously are both too fast and too slow, where the rest of the movie has been very well paced up until that point. And what's crazy is that what bookends both of these sequences is getting rich off of illegal gambling and Itchy, Dom DeLuise's character, getting the shit beaten out of him and coming back to Charlie in tears saying, in a very, real sequence, in a sequence that feels very honest, like, Charlie, they tried to kill me. Charlie, they Like, I went along with you on this because you're my friend and because I love you. And I didn't want to take the girl. I didn't want to do any of this. I didn't even want to start a business. But I did it because you're my friend. And he like starts breaking down. He's like, they tried to kill me. They tried to kill me. Like, it's this very real kind of sequence. And Dom DeLuise is acting his face off. And he's not trying to ham it up or anything. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It is just kind of this really remarkable thing where there's just 15 minutes that are bookended by like very real moments. And then there's just 15 minutes of total nonsense.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like, but thankfully it's only 15 minutes of a greater whole.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed with Dom DeLuise in this. I think this might be one of his better vocal performances. Especially, like, he worked with Don Bluth a lot, but I want to say it's one of his best because he does show a measure of restraint. It helps too that the animation is really backing him up. Just a couple of notes that are worth throwing out there. I mean, if you're not familiar, he and Burt Reynolds worked together quite a lot, and also Dom DeLuise worked with Don Bluth quite a lot. But the animation quality, the background art, and the modeling for all the characters are very, very solid throughout. In particular, though, funny enough, we have a dog on camera right now. The movement of the dog characters, they did their research. There's a lot of postures and a lot of movements that the dogs assume throughout the film that are really on point, that add a lot of character and just help some of the some bits of the dialogue just sing just all that much more. And in particular, I mean, I'm partial to dachshunds in general. Dom DeLuise being represented in that fashion, like, because you think of him as a big, like, larger than life kind of figure, to have him be small and seemingly so vulnerable and just open, works in kind of an unexpected way. It's kind of like contrary to how he's often represented in animation, but I think Itchy is his character's name. I really liked Itchy in this. Just the way he's animated and the performance, I think, land really, really well. In particular, during some of those more dramatic beats. He's also present during the ending of the film, and the little bits of animation, the little bits of dialogue that he has in that sequence, I think, are quite effective. The couple that the little girl ends up with, the wardrobe for the woman had me laughing throughout the whole way. So I was like, okay, Princess Daphne lives here, apparently.
It's 30s Hollywood in here, isn't it?
Seriously, she's got like her hair all done up. She's got full face makeup. She's wearing heels at all hours of the day, and everything sheer.
A pink sheer robe.
Yeah, sheer. Everything sheer.
Probably made of that miracle fabric rayon.
Seriously, like her attire just made me laugh, because like there isn't a sequence where she's not showing leg or showing cleavage, like, and she's like, there's the sequence where it's like breakfast, and it's like, you dress like that for breakfast. Okay.
Listen, man, dude, it's the 30s in New Orleans. I'm not sure what you want.
I mean, some sweat, some glisten. Like, I'm picturing it being muggy and uncomfortable.
Yeah, her husband appears to be the hunkier version of the master from Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah, either the master, or I was gonna say like the husband from 101 Dalmatians or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the slightly more well-fed version.
Yeah, he's a little more filled out. But yeah, the couple had me laughing, just the way she's represented in particular. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot other things to say about this one. Levi, you got any other thoughts you want to toss out there about this one?
On the note of anatomy, it's one of those things that I actually really like how everybody moves in this. I like how the dogs move.
Yeah,
because the thing is they're very firmly dogs. Like, they aren't anthropomorphic dogs. Like, they have some human qualities to them, but they're dogs. Like, and it's pretty different from something like An American Tail, where it's like, well, the mice and the cats are all just, they're people. They're people, effectively.
Yeah.
They just have animal bodies. And this is actually one of those things where the girlfriend brought this up when we were watching Pebble and the Penguin. This was a solo viewing for me. So she's like, so something that I like about Pebble and the Penguin is the way the penguins always kind of assume that wings out stance. This is just kind of how they're walking. And she's like, they move like penguins right up until they don't. Right up until they really, really don't. And the fact that they have teeth, and the problem is their flippers always become fingers. So now they can use their fingers to do finger things. It's like they become finger birds. It's like, so they aren't actually using just their flippers to like kind of like move things. They aren't using their wings properly in a way that penguins would. And she's like, yeah, it kind of ruins that for me because there's moments where they move like penguins and it's kind of cute and it's kind of fun. But then they stop moving like penguins and they move like people. And with someone like Drake never moves like a penguin, ever. Drake is, again, something else entirely. I think he may be a
gorilla.
Yeah, he's like some sort of baboon that ended up in the Arctic. But what's really kind of fun about this and the way that all of the characters are animated, they move like dogs. They move like dogs. There are a lot of times where, like, yeah, they're like, you know, they're balancing things between their paws and that sort of thing in ways that they probably shouldn't be able to. You know, like smoking a cigar with one hand as a dog would be rather difficult. But the way they sit and the way they're postured and the way they move, it's not uncommon. They're always on all fours. Even like the way that Carface is, he moves like a bulldog because that's what he is. It's like he has that wider stance and everything. I just really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the fact that it's like, oh, the dogs are dogs. And that's what it enhances the comedy. It makes it funnier. It makes the dog casino all the funnier because it is just a bunch of dogs. It's not people in dog suits. I'm just very impressed overall with the animation. I'm very impressed with the quality of this one. It's one that I really think they had something. I think they had something. And while, again, there's about 10-15 minutes that I wish weren't in the movie, or could have been adjusted, or could have been changed. I understand to an extent why they're there, just to give a little bit of levity. So it's like, it's not quite Secret of Nim. It's not quite Land Before Time. It's not quite American Tail. But man, it's pretty doggone close. I really enjoyed my sit with this one.
Yeah, me too. Like I said at the top, it landed much better for me now than it did as a child. And it lacks the cohesion, like the cohesiveness of the aforementioned superior Bluth films, but with that like 15-minute exception, I'd say it's an exceptional Don Bluth film. And yeah, the animation, it, like I said, if you watch Pebble and the Penguin side by side with this one, you will know that there are levels to this game, and this is a higher level than that one. And yeah, I already mentioned that like the dog animation, the modeling, and the movement of the characters is very charming. There's an odd example, but it's the one that came to mind as you were talking, Levi, was when Charlie first comes back from heaven and he meets up with Itchy. Itchy's like, "You're supposed to be dead." When he finally convinces him and they get on the same page. So after like all the shenanigans where Itchy's throwing shit at him and running around the room and stuff, funny, genuinely funny. There's the bit where they finally like come to terms and it's like, okay, you're alive. Now we have a plan. There's the bit where they just like lower themselves to the floor. Like no human would do this, but this is like them actually like this is them getting more intimate with each other. This is how dogs do this. And like Charlie does one of these and like Itchy goes like he like flattens out and they just talk like that on the floor. And I was like, yeah, that's some dog shit. And then I seem to remember like when they're in the vent together too, like Itchy's like he's like contorting himself in all sorts of weird positions, where it's just like watching a dog like navigate like a cramped space. It's like, what in the fuck are you doing? It's like, can't get comfortable. It's like weird, don't like. And it's purely just a visual thing. It's purely just communicated through the animation, but it sells really well. Also like, the animation techniques, more tendencies on the part of Don Bluth. There's frequent rotoscoping in the film for like certain rigid objects and seemingly all the human characters. The girl seems to vacillate back and forth between being rotoscoped and not. And what's interesting is like I'm curious how they did this because I have a theory. And it's like if you've ever seen like behind the scenes footage of like Disney animators doing like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or something, they have those live sequences, like those live sessions where they had like a model in a dress, like just like dancing around a studio, and the animators are just like rapidly cranking out sketches to get an idea of the motion. I want to say maybe they did something like that, but they had either a child or an adult wearing a helmet because her head is unusually large. So I'm like, did they just have somebody with like a big like Jack-in-the-Box helmet or something running around the studio so they could like get the balance right?
She's very Pinocchio-esque.
Very much so.
And the way she moves. This is something I commented on in Pebble and the Penguin, how there's like some portions of that movie that look really Disney and like old school, like 40s Disney. The gal in this looks very much like 40s Disney. She looks like Pinocchio in the way that she moves and in her expressions and all of it. It feels very much like that.
Even her color scheme is actually kind of close to the Disney Pinocchio.
Yeah,
with the dark patches and the bursts of color. But yeah, she's very well animated. It's just that in some of like the crowd sequences in particular when they're doing the pickpocket scheme, I was just like, that looks like that's very much somebody animating on top of a person, but like, damn, that head's big. I don't know if it's like a trick of the perspective or something, but it just jumped out at me.
Yeah, she is built in a different manner than the rest of the human characters.
Made me think of the Pep Boys in that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode. They jump off of the thing and they're scratching their heads on the floor. Hey, don't scratch up them heads. Anyway, on that note, I'm tapped out. How about you?
I am. If you haven't seen it in a while, go see it. There's a chance that there's a good portion of the audience hasn't seen this in about as long as it's been for you, Trevor, or they've never seen it like me. Honestly, give it a whirl. Have fun. Take a light evening and enjoy yourself. This might be one that I actually add physically to the collection because it's one that I honestly would like to come back to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could just tell from the way you've spoken of it. It sounds like this one resonated with you, and there's a lot to like. And I'm sure there's prints of it floating around out there that probably aren't too hard to come by. It's a pretty popular movie. But yeah, probably top 5 Bluth films, I would say. Maybe the lower end of it, but still top 5. So yeah, check it out. Yeah, this was All Dogs Go to Heaven, which apparently the title was selected because it's provocative, and I'd say that's true. It doesn't exactly have the best ring to it. I feel like I've probably mispronounced it throughout my entire life just because something about the way the words flow together is weird to me.
Yeah. Well, it's also clear from the film that some dogs definitely go to hell.
Yeah, I mean, why is there a dog hell? Like, just surely somebody.
There's well, and that's the thing. It's just like pretty firmly there are bad dogs, and bad dogs do definitely go to hell. Had it not been for his self-sacrifice and intervention, Charlie would have been burning in doggy hell.
Yeah, I didn't stick around for the post credits if there is one or not, but I wonder if Carface ended up in heaven or hell, because it seems to be implied that Big Lipped Alligator got him, but kind of similar to Rockadoodle, our villain in this film, Carface, isn't executed on screen. He merely swims away from a giant alligator.
He does turn up in heaven and is like, give me that clock. I'm like, come on, I need to be able to. And he falls out, and the angel's like, you can't come back again. And Charlie turns to the camera and is like, he'll be back. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that would be the way you end it. But yeah, this was All Dogs Go to Heaven. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Insert Mario music here or whatever the fuck. But yeah, tune in next week, maybe. Oh, wait, I think we're at the end of the month, so maybe not. But yeah, this was Dark Side of the Bluth.
We still have 5 Goes West.
Oh, yeah, we got to cleanse the palate, although we kind of like already did. But yeah, I need an excuse to rewatch that because it has been 3 decades since I've seen it. And I did love it when I was a kid.
And it is the true Dark Side of the Bluth because you can't see Don Bluth in it.
Yeah, we learned in our research for this month that as much as we all cited it as like one of our favorite Don Bluth movies, apparently it's not a Don Bluth movie.
Don Bluth.
So it's like, well, fuck, I'm a liar. Sorry.
Spielberg's like, Don, you and your Irish cohort need to go home. Get out of here. Don't call me. I'll call you.
I did say exploitation was recurring. Exploitation and bankruptcy are recurring trends in Don Bluth's career. So even Spielberg, even public darling Steven Spielberg, pulled it out from under him. He stole Fievel. He stole fizzy lifting drinks.
Yeah. Apparently, there's only really 2 people on Steven Spielberg's shit list. Don Bluth and John Landis. And Don Bluth didn't even have to kill 3 people to do it.
Look it up, folks. Look up what happened with John Landis in the 80s, and you'll get the reference. Yeah, that being said, this was Dark Side of the Bluth. Thank you so much for listening. And before we go, Levi, how about you let everybody know where they can find you and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can find me over at Your Captain Speaking. I do mostly videos about books, shorter books, less than 200 pages, with characters you may or may not have heard of, like Philip Marlowe, Conan, James Bond, all of these action-type characters that have some sort of pop culture presence that you didn't know had really short, punchy, fun books associated with them. Essentially, it is my way of asking guys to come back to reading. Not everything has to be 8-book series or big Brandon Sanderson tomes or Tolkien or Herbert. It's like sometimes you can just have something you can read in an afternoon that's entertaining, punchy, and can whet your palate. Maybe you want to work up to larger works, but you're out of practice with reading. Give it a whirl. I am here to encourage you to do that.
Yeah, we're in the midst of a literacy crisis. Reading is good for you. Crack open a book. look to Levi for recommendations if you need help. But yeah, definitely check out his channel, Your Captain Speaking. Great stuff. But yeah, our podcast is called Catching Up on Cinema. You can find it on YouTube and wherever podcasts are found. We also do a live stream about once a month where we talk about our movie collections. So if you see a notice about that, definitely check it out. And yeah, thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
That is